Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is One of One, but you can call me Seven. And we've just recently gotten a lot of exposition about how this situation that we currently have in front of us is working. What the stakes are between Alice Konji and Aoko Aozaki. What the power scaling is like for them as witches. And what the reality of this situation that Shizuki and Aoko are in is. Does that make sense? Did I just form a coherent sentence? I really don't know. I'm so tired. However, I do know that I'm thoroughly enjoying this game. I hope you guys are too. This is all I seem to be able to say about it. That's just because the story has continued to build and the action has... We're still in the rising action portion. We haven't really hit a climax yet. One of, I'm sure, as many. I think this visual novel's long, as far as I can tell, because we're still right here, what feels like the beginning. I mean, Shizuki and Aoko have barely even begun to, have a real relationship. It's mostly been, hunter and prey. And now he's being introduced to this entire world that she is used to and it has inhabited. But I'm just curious to see where this goes from here. So strap in, grab a snack, get a drink, let's do this together because I am just as much along for the ride as you guys are. Let's do it. From her spot atop the clock tower, the girl observed the growth of her familiar. Right, Flat Snark. Oh, there were so many names and so much terminology thrown around last time. I'm probably gonna need some kind of refresher. Not because it's been a while since I played, but more so that they just sort of threw it all at all of us, and I was pacing the reading really fast because it felt really intense. And so it felt natural that way. But now I'm realizing, oh boy, how much of that did I really retain? Maybe not much. Flatsnark, a savior of the discarded. It was a vile, vulgar fairy tale monster who provided those abandoned by fate with a glimmer of hope before snatching it away. Alice had it under her control, but she was still keen to keep the snark from expressing its bad habits. After completing a lap around the park that had now reached the size of an entire town, the robin made its situation report. So, they're trying to get out. It seemed Aoko was prioritizing the safety of the boy. Even if it resulted in wasting an entire day, choosing not to capitulate on a decision was very much like her. That's too bad. I was sure Aoko would attempt to burn down the clock tower and me with it. The bluebird cheeped in response. Was it denying its master's portrait of Aoko, or agreeing that it was Aoko's style to do exactly that? An outsider might interpret its interjections either way. Does this bore you? The robin jumped at being addressed so unexpectedly. It chirped and flapped its wings like a flustered servant, frantic to say otherwise. It's rare for us to get along so well. Okay then. If it's a game she wants, a game she'll get. Let's liven things up a bit, shall we? Calmly, she pulled out a small object from her pocket. It was a dark gray Easter egg, and emanating from inside it was the ticking of a clock. The robin knew it to be a ploy kickshaw with a bad attitude far exceeding Flatsnark's, known to be among the best in one-on-one situations. That's, as a catchphrase that I've had this entire game. That's pretty bad. This is like the one advantage that Aoko has over Alice, and now it's, we're about to see the true gravity of the situation that they're in, because we haven't even seen Alice's real monsters. Go. I've set the extolling time for 20 minutes. Break in that subtle way of yours. And together with the witch's breath, the egg filled with praise disappeared. Suddenly, a strong wind swept through the park. The words, "I could have killed them all by myself," floated through the air. It was the disappointment of something enormous that was visible to all, yet overlooked. Well, where are our heroes now? What's going on with these two? Aoko and Sojiro continued their dash toward the boundary separating the park from the outside. Okay, we're back here. So much mana being expelled. The Curio horde that stood in their way had reduced in number. The iron fence that separated the two from the outside world was just over 300 yards away. 3 football fields? Fortunately, there were no particularly large buildings barring their path. If the Ferris wheel had stood in their way, that would have spelled the end, but thankfully it had yet to reach its full strength. The only things that appeared before them were weak oddities that could easily be handled by Aoko's simple magecraft. At this rate, we just might... She would have said, make it to the fence, if only her lungs would allow it. Aoko has such an interesting thing too about her magecraft, the way she practices it and what she specializes in. Good old quick draw. Simple magecraft. I think that's fun. Since Aoko was utilizing the ample mana filling the park, her tank of magical energy was nearly full. Moreover, the condition of her body's circuits was steadily improving, to the extent that she should be able to unleash at least one all-out onslaught. Until something unusual was hovering above her field of vision. It was locked on Sojudo, hovering 10 feet above him over to one side. Look. What? That thing? It's been on us for a while. Sojudo had seemingly noticed it before Aoko, hence his previous awkward glances toward the sky. In truth, it would have been stranger for him not to notice, as the thing was practically glued to him. In terms of its size, the floating object measured about 3 feet in diameter. Tiles covered its exterior, about which a multitude of spinning lights danced about. Is that an egg? Tamago. Sojudo asked, not really sure what to call it. An egg? If it's an egg, then that means it'll crack. Should you do that? Her bullets bounced off like it was made of rubber. That trait, the ability to deflect all outside interference, confirmed to Aoko that this thing was undoubtedly a ploy kickshaw. Knew it. I can't break its rules from the outside. Shizuki, don't take your eyes off it even for a second. No matter what happens, keep your eyes locked on it, even if it's just in the corner of your vision. Oh, okay? Aoko picked up her pace as she barked orders. The Eggman, who sat on a wall. He would crack, just as the tale spoke of. Nothing anyone could do or say would cause him to fall, but the moment they stopped looking, he would tumble down and break into pieces. Oh my god, it's Humpty Dumpty? All the king's horses and all the king's men could put him back together again, or so it said. It was the Mother Goose poem, Humpty Dumpty. If Sojudo was its target, then the moment he averted his gaze, it would tumble and explode. Except for the exploding part. Who knows what'll happen when it falls? Either way, it was going to scatter something troublesome when it fell. Its oval shape, the keyhole adorning the front, and writing inscribed upon it. They all made her anxious. If it was an egg, that meant it was going to hatch at some point. Even if he continued to stare, once the time came for whatever was inside to come out, they would have even less ability to conserve their energy. Slow down, would you? If you use up all your energy now, you'll forget about what comes next. Just focus on watching that egg. At this critical juncture, Breadmen stepped out to join the egg and block their path. Out of the way. Like a machine gun, man, the Breadmen were marching forth in a grand battalion. At her level of firepower, Aoko should have easily mowed them down. However... Oh no, are they getting stronger? These have hard crusts? Take this. I mean, you got kind of unlimited mana. Jesus Christ, Aoko. If Snap failed to do the job, that meant it was time for her to put her crest to use. Draw, a formula-triggered bullet encased in a full wind jacket. If her previous shots were the equivalent of a machine gun volley, then this was her artillery shot. Holy hell. The hard crust bread that had absorbed her snap without a dent scattered into thousands of tiny pieces at her draw's torrent. I don't know if that's an artillery shot, it's more like a laser. Hey, keep your eyes on the egg. Whoa. Of course, the destruction did not end with just the breadmen. What had once been a brick road was now thoroughly stripped of its pavement. The nearby stalls had been warped into twisted steel skeletons. It was a spectacle that made Sojudo question what the greater obstacle to their escape was. The wall of breadmen, or Aoko's ability to lay waste to things. Hey, don't wander off! It's dangerous if you don't stick close to me. Come on, get closer. We're out of strikes, you know. If they surround you, you're a goner. You should know, hostages don't mean squat to me, and it's not like I can pick out my targets precisely anyway. This made a lot of sense to Sojudo. He had not fully appreciated the part about hostages, but he got the gist of it. So basically, I'm in danger no matter where I stand. Offended though she was by his typical naive response, she could not help but be impressed. Sojudo was a straight arrow through and through. His eyes stayed firmly focused on the egg overhead, even amidst the chaos of the melee unfolding before him. That's my man right there. I don't know why I worried. You may not be the sharpest tool, but you sure are good at following orders. One thing, Aozaki. Am I imagining it, or do those breadmen seem tougher than before? No, you weren't imagining that. They're getting stronger. They must have nailed down their mass production process, so they've turned their attention to upping the quality. As you figured out already, they're just going to get tougher as we go. It seems like even those bread guys have started to develop individuality. I hate to think about it, but they might start spreading themselves with jelly or wearing other fillings and merging with one another. Though she was joking, her eyes were, they were dead serious. Sojiro shuddered at the thought of the situation growing even more dire. So you're saying that those guys are going to become as terrifying as the puppet from the House of Mirrors soon? Oh, you can count on it, and I'll have my hands full with bread that rare. Say, Shizuki. Think you can handle yourself against one of those? Sojiro shook his head, a look of complete aversion upon his face. I didn't think so. So let's get moving. We can't afford to hang around here. Aoko took a quick deep breath and began to sprint once again, far in the distance through the fog. The iron fence waited 300 paces away. As long as nothing happened, they would make it there in one piece. Sojiro followed after Aoko, holding on to that all too convenient hope. See, at this juncture, I have no idea what they could possibly introduce to make this worse or better. I don't know if there are even going to be more characters. I hope there are. Maybe there aren't. I have no idea. This is a standalone game. Anyway. But hope was something ever fleeting. In fact, it lasted not even 300 yards. The edge of the amusement park may well have been the edge of the world. Here we are. At the edge of the forest, it looks like. The fence, anyway. There we go. Yep. Oh. Dozens of undulating horizons could be seen, crowding the sky like a giant cloud, or a thick curtain, or perhaps groaning lips. It was the end of the road, the outer limit of an outrageous and fantastical realm, and yet, Aoko found it to be much like the last page of an enormous picture book. The sight turned her mind blank. Well, this is about as bad as it gets, she thought. The Snark, this island of despair, had at last brought Aoko to her knees as she stared at the swelling border. The park indeed had an end, even now as Aoko and Sojiro had expected. A fence divided the amusement park from the residential area neighboring it. It had both doubled in height and been made sturdier, another hurdle she had foreseen before even laying eyes on it. Expecting it to have been snarkified, Aoko had become prepared to demolish an obstacle or two. But this construction before her went far beyond a mere wall. It was an ocean that separated the underworld from the mortal one. The iron fence was like a restless, surging sea. One or two walls could easily be toppled, even 10 or 20 could be dealt with one way or another. Between the power left in her body and that which filled the park, putting on a brave front was within her power. She could fully mobilize her circuits and her crest to the point of burnout in a last-ditch effort, like some reenactment of the parting of the Red Sea. But then that would be it. Even if a path could be opened, she would not have the energy left to walk it. And it was obvious what would become of her afterward. The residents would hardly forgive her for wreaking such havoc around their park. Like ants drawn to honey, they would swarm the helpless girl and tear her to pieces. Despondent and exhausted, she felt the faint sting of remorse. Escaping the park, looking back on how they had gotten here, Aoko recognized that her choices had been her undoing. Under the golden full moon, beams of steel bent and merged like wireframe sculptures. It was only a matter of time before the amusement park itself became one colossal monster. The horde of familiars gathered in the plaza where Alice was had formed an impenetrable blockade around her. Just above the head of the boy beside her, the whispering egg, called Scratch Dumpty, continued to shuffle what appeared on its surface.
Aozaki.
Shizuki-kun.
Oh, here he comes. Here comes my boy. The boy's voice snapped Aoko out of her trance. If only for a moment. The stark reality of the situation quickly dawned on the novice mage, the sheer hopelessness of it all, as it ripped out and snatched away any will she had to resist. Let's head for the gate. It's hopeless here, but we might have a chance at the entrance. That flat snark thing, you said it has its own set of rules to follow, right? Then we need to think about the basics. The fence would have been impassable from the start, but the gate might still work as an entrance and exit. Sojiro had not given in to panic. The indomitable human spirit, baby. Aoko found herself honestly admiring Sojiro's ability to analyze Snark's characteristics, given the circumstances. Now calm, she steeled her resolve. You're right, the gate is a good option, but just getting there will be a challenge. Even the weakest enemies, those loaves, are becoming hard to deal with. Plus, the best of her familiars are just going to keep gathering at the plaza and the entrance. I mean, the gate itself might be a monster even worse than the Ferris wheel. It's designed to look like a giant kitsy. So you're not going to the front gate? Nah, we have a better chance over here. Aoko took another glance at the undulating iron fences. It was too late to achieve their goal of making it out alive. In that case, she decided to prioritize the other promise she had made. I'm gonna go ahead and break down the fences here. You have to escape once you see an opening. Then, my job will be done. Though her words were few, her tone told the whole story. She was telling him to escape by himself. It's not possible. You can't destroy them by yourself, Aozaki. If I were by myself, you'd be right. Right now the park is actually helping me. With this much fuel, all I need to do is aim and pull the trigger. One good blast should be enough. That said, I'll only be able to do it once, so as soon as I open a hole, I need you to run like your life depends on it. She would carve a path through this iron sea of fences, gambling on one final effort. A great incantation to launch the biggest projectile she could manage. As an outsider, Sojiro could not even begin to imagine just how much of a burden this would be for her. All he could imagine was a hazy vision of Aoko being left behind in this park. What would happen to her? Would that girl in black come to save her? Cruel as it was to imagine, he knew she would not. After Aoko had exhausted her very best in order to save him, that girl would not stay her hand. The only way Alice would let Aoko off the hook was if Aoko killed Sojiro as payment. And so, get back about 50 feet. It'll take time to cast, but I'll make sure to finish this before that egg gets hard-boiled. It went without saying that this was the only path. Wait, I want to know. Is there even a point in letting me go? None. Even once you get out, there's no way you'll be able to escape Alice forever. But I'm stubborn to the very end. I said I'd protect you, so I'm damn well going to do my best to keep you alive. Surprised by her seemingly moral stance, Sojiro saw Aoko in a new light. But of course, Sojiro realized that she was not fighting for his sake, but for the sake of her pride. Right. I guess you did say that. But it's not like you to let me go by myself. Oh, give me a break. Just move already. Aoko eased off just a bit. She recalled how, an hour ago, he had gotten the better of her. Aozaki, if you're still willing to fight, then let's do it some other way. If you can destroy that monster of a fence, then let's put your power to better use. There isn't anything else I can do. Sorry, but all I can do is destroy what I can see. Dying for some forlorn hope isn't how I want to go out. Don't you get it? The fact is, blowing this thing up to let you slip out is all I can manage. I can't beat Flat Snark or anything else. It's the least I can do after... So you're going to run from this responsibility too? Aoko was just about to turn her back on him when Sojiro clutched her hand. His words caused something inside of her to boil with rage. It was as though someone had set her heart on fire. The surprise that pricked open her true feelings and the disappointment she felt toward herself thawed her frozen limbs. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it backward. I'm the one letting you escape, not the other way around. I'll blow the whole damn park if I feel like it. Just you watch. Okay? In that case, it'd be a waste to help me escape right now. Save that move for when you really mean it. I'll give you a hand until then. Huh? You help me? Talk about a waste of time. Now you're really pissing me off. Just get out of here, you dimwit. What use do I have for a dunce whose special power is running himself ragged? I may be pretty exhausted, but you're in worse shape, Aozaki. Just look at yourself. You're tired and injured. Not to mention the injury to her back that Aoko had nearly forgotten about. Even now, she couldn't ignore the pain that the automaton had inflicted on her spine. With iron will, she'd managed to push it out of her mind. Mostly. Even without any of that magecraft stuff, I'm still in better shape than you are. I could probably even carry you all the way to the entrance if I needed to. Don't make promises you can't keep. Just go. I'm used to this, and you're not. This is your first time facing this sort of thing, right? So, it's okay. Oh, oops. The fact that they were a team, the fact that she would still have to kill him after all of this. None of the irony was lost on her as she said these words. It didn't matter anymore. Still, Sojiro didn't let go of her hand. He gripped it even harder. His expression was the same as ever. Ako frowned, trying to figure out if he was upset with her. You're right. This is my first time with this sort of thing, but I've experienced my own fair share of danger in the mountains. I've even been attacked by a deer, you know. As a city girl, she had no idea what it meant to be attacked by a deer, but his determination was, apparent enough. True, looking back on it now, he had maintained his composure through it all. Somehow, stubbornly, this guy, he's got it like that. He's infallible, he doesn't freak out. A normal person would barely be able to talk through such panic. Perhaps growing up deep in the mountains, far from civilization, had taught him how to stay calm in the face of so much. So trust me, just a little. He spoke his plain, unadulterated feelings and released his hand. There was no lie in him. In fact, he was too honest, so much that she found it hard to believe him. Sojiro had no reason to go that far. As it stood, Aoko had no future. After confessing this and telling him to escape, why did this boy still offer to help a person like her? I don't understand. Why do all this? You're going to die if you stay with me. This is it. This is your last chance. Think it through. You should be running. I know, but I'm not going anywhere. Sojiro answered immediately, realizing that Aoko was looking for his reason. This level of insight in Sojiro demanded a round of applause. If I do, you'll die. Aozaki. His words were as irrational as always. But why? Why do it? Why go so far from me? She was yelling out of frustration, and after thinking for a moment, Sojiro replied. Look, I won't say anything. Let's just keep watching. Keep reading. I guess it's because I like you. Simple and to the point. His face seemed to ask why she would even question him so. There was a pause. No more than 2 seconds. His surprise attack had stopped Aoko in her tracks. Alice was not the only one who had an ace up her sleeve. That line reached deeper even than Flat Snark could ever hope to. All Aoko could respond with was an expression of pure shock. It was a simple, stubborn reason. The strongest kind on earth. Sojiro Shizuki was indeed incomprehensible. To be able to work unconditionally with someone who was trying to kill him, but she felt as though she'd finally grasped a sliver of his true nature. Tobimaru and the others' assessment of him was correct, as vexing as it was to her to admit. Even though I can't stand you, you sure are a dip, you know. He laughed at her sour grumbling. At this point, he was used to her insults. Their clash of wills ended here. Aoko's blood ran hot from her blazing heart. So they've talked about, like, they're in the earlier parts of the game, there's a lot of talk about this feeling that she didn't understand that he made, like, it was inexplicable. She couldn't explain why she felt the way that she did about Sojiro. And Sojiro was like, well, she's really pretty. That was like the first start. But then also it was just like, he was like realizing things about her as they interacted. And now we have this, which I still don't know if this is meant to be a romantic implication. I mean, I think it definitely is. I think that's the point, but like, I don't know how they're going to handle it. If he was going to make a face like that, all she could do was try to think of a way to get them both home. Running away isn't really my thing anyway. Fine, I'll stick it out to the end. And if you're going to stay with me, Shizuki, I'm sure we can find some way for you to help. Though her tone had lightened, there was still hesitation in her eyes. It was only natural. Aoko had not even a clue as how to begin to fight the snark. If only she had been just a bit more skilled, or had trained just a bit more, there might have been some way to look for it.
我ながら情けない
I'm better than this.
せめて正
If
体
only I had a way to
が
peel
隠れ
back its true form. Unconsciously, she let her apprehension show. Sniveling was pointless. She would just have to figure out by herself, but
なんだ
what? That's all we need to figure out? Huh? Alco gave him a look, as if to ask what that was supposed to mean. I mean, you asked me earlier to look for something weird, right? Soldier also made a face that suggested she should have brought it up sooner.
わかる
Wait, you know what it is? I think so. Well,
結構前から
I've been wondering about it for a while, actually. Soldier whispered in her ear quietly so as not to be overheard. It was certainly unexpected, but then again, equally obvious. After he explained the mistake, she knew right away that he was correct. At last, she had an inkling of Flat Snark's original form, namely... Of course you're going to do this to us. Why not? Come on. Give us something, man. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Oh, we're fast forwarding. They strategized for 10... Oh my god, they did the thing where we don't get to hear what they're saying. They strategized for 10 minutes. After deliberating the Snark's true form and figuring out a plan of attack, the two exchanged nods in acceptance of their roles.
それじゃあここから
We'll be splitting up now.
ミラー
Just don't make it a repeat of the blunder in the House of Mirrors.
勘弁してよ
You're the crux of this operation.
この作戦
If you
の肝
bungle
は
the start even a
あなたなんだ
little,
から
there's no coming back from this one. Though she jabbed him for his previous failure as a decoy, her voice was bright. Aoko's original vigor had returned to her at Sojiro's discovery of the truth. Meanwhile, Sojiro was also getting serious in his own way. He took Aoko's warning to heart.
ならいいけど
Good.
いい
But remember that our positions are reversed this time. If we fail, I'm not the one who's going to die. You are.
もう
I won't be there to clean up your mess, so watch your step.
分かってる
I know.
今更な
For all this, I regret
やっぱりさっき
what not taking your advice earlier. I'll be careful. Sojiro nodded, telling her to leave it to him. Though he made it sound like he was holding a grudge, it seemed to him to be the only way of showing her his resolve. Aoko let out a sigh of defeat. Once more, she couldn't figure him out.
でも任せて
Seriously, I can't tell if you're a big idiot or a big hero. Whichever one it is, I'm counting on you. Don't let me down. She had wanted to say that she believed in him, but apparently that was too embarrassing for her. Aoko turned away from Sojiro and began to run. She had begun to think that maybe this change of pace was not so bad after all. And so ended the intermission. The young cast members were handed their new lines. Whatever happened next, the Night of Witches had, at long last, entered its climax. Well,
別行動
okay.
あの二人が
The intermission is over. And for you guys, it has just begun. Because now we're going to try and run the last of this whole amusement park section, this whole Kitsy Land section, in one episode next time. Because today, this is all the time that I have for today. Oh, man. I love these guys. I want them to be happy. I want them to survive this and be okay. Aoko and Shizuki are just so charming. I don't know, I'm just trash for this kind of stuff, I guess. I love their dynamic so much. But, anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely did. And I will see you guys in the next video. So for now, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye!